It's Monday, April 11th, and this is the Drive Check Podcast.
That would be fun.
So, Cole, do you watch scary movies?
No, I don't.
You don't watch any horror movies ever?
Not really. I have a really overactive imagination, so when the lights go out, my imagination starts to wander, and it scares the crap out of me.
So you're just like the master of suspension of disbelief. You just go right into it.
Yeah.
Wait, is this one of those things where you start a conversation and record, or is this just random
Do
conversation?
you have to ruin it by saying that?
I don't. Well, I was about to say something, but it's You should
Possibly
tell us.
could be a bit of column A, bit of column B.
Well, because
So what
I was
about-
going to say something personal, but I'm not going to, it would give away, my personal identity, so I'm not going to say it now.
What were you gonna say?
Well, it's relevant to horror movies, but if you're recording, I can't say it, and you'll never know.
Well, I'll cut it out. What were you gonna say?
Ooh, secrets. So,
Well, that's how movies work. I'm
yeah.
sure. But you guys have seen maybe Cole, you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods.
No, but I've heard it was more of a comedy than an actual horror movie, right?
It's
I
pretty
never
horrifying.
watched it because the twist ending was spoiled for me, so I never bothered to watch it.
But they're actually coming out with a sequel. I don't know how they're coming out with a sequel, but they're going to be coming out with a sequel.
Because isn't the whole... Well, I'm going to spoil the movie if we're recording, so now I don't even know, and this is
Wait,
confusing
this
me.
is a movie that came out 4 years ago. You can spoil it.
Yeah.
No, I hate people that spoil movies.
Even though it's 4 years old?
That's like my biggest pet peeve of all time.
Wow. All right, so one of the movies that scared me the most is when I was a little kid, I spent a lot of my time on sailboats because we lived in Hawaii and my dad was really into sailing. So he owned a boat and we would go for weekend trips and spend the night overnight on the water on the sailboat. And in the late 70s, early 80s, there was this movie that came out about real life pirates. It was kind of in the Philippines or something like that, which when I was 7 or 8 years old, I couldn't tell the difference between the Philippines and Hawaii. So it was this movie and the pirates, there was this dad and his son, and the pirates stole the son away from the dad. And then they brainwashed him into being part of their pirate culture. And the dad came to save his son, but his son had already turned into a pirate kid. And I'm not yo ho ho pirates, but evil 80s criminal pirates. So that completely freaked me out when we would go out sailing. And I kept thinking that pirates were going to come and steal me away in the middle of the night, and I was going to have to live in their pirate hovels and everything like that. But you guys have just told me that you're not that into horror movies, so
I never said anything like that.
Well, okay.
I mean, I'm not, but I never said that.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Obviously, The Conjuring.
The Conjuring is your favorite horror movie.
That thing is that movie is frightening. It's really scary.
The best horror movie ever.
No, well, obviously it's not the best. I really liked not Paranormal Activity. What's it called? They just remade it really poorly.
Yeah, I can't tell you.
What's it called? This is gonna bug me.
Well, it's not called Paranormal Activity.
It's not. That's not what it's called.
Well, you're trying to remember
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist. Oh, I saw those movies in the theater when they came out.
Yeah,
even the one in New York City was real bad.
First one was really good. It's a little dated now, but it was good.
Well, luckily there are poltergeists in our topic today. When we actually talk about Vanguard, So today we're going to be talking about Granblues and do a Granblue clan review, which is something that we're going to try to do regularly to get anybody who is learning about Vanguard through listening to us, which that would be an amazing and difficult experience to have. But we'll go over the different clans and tell stories about them and sort of their special mechanics that are attributed to that clan and any other notable pieces about them. But I do want to start out, and I guess we'll make this a continuing segment with Will's errata. So what did we not know about last week that I've done a little bit of research to figure out how it actually works for this week? So last week we were talking about the G Zone, and I thought that while you could pre-order the cards in your G deck, that basically once you set that order and put the deck out, you couldn't change it. And the actual rule, I looked up from the comprehensive rules of Vanguard G. It's rule number 4.11.2. Which reads, the G zone is a hidden zone, but you can see the information of and change the order of cards in your G zone. The face down cards in this zone are stacked, and other players cannot see the information of the face down cards. So that statement, you can change the order of cards in your G zone. That means that that you can look through them and pull out the ones that you want to pull out when you want to pull them. So that's your Will's errata for the week. So I know, Jack, you've had some good pulls this week or good purchases.
Oh yes, my wallet was super happy about that purchase. I got my 3 Dragonic Overlord the Ends and my last Dragonic Overlord the X to finish that deck once the Legend deck comes out. Super excited for that deck.
So you got 4 the X and 3 the End?
Or I think it's the cross. I don't know. It says the X on the card, so I'm just going to call it the X. But I'm sure other people pronounce it differently. So
I usually always want to get 4 of a card just so that I can have the complete playset.
Well, when that 4th card to complete the set is like $35 to $40, I think I'll wait a little bit to see if I actually want it.
I mean, if you're spending $165, spend $200.
Didn't spend that much. I got a good deal on it. Yeah, I got a good deal on it. I didn't spend that much. I spent closer to like $120.
All right, Cole, did you pull anything this week?
I did. I bought 3 packs of Transcension of Blade and Blossom, and out of one of the packs, I got Mist Phantasm Pirate King Night Rose, which is a $30 card and actually goes towards the deck I'm building.
Ooh.
So Granblue. That's one of the Granblues from the latest release, which is making Granblue so popular. Have you guys had any battles? Had any opportunity to play?
I have.
I played against my friend's Granblue deck, which, how ironic, that 7 Seas deck is so powerful, and it really makes me want to build it. But all the cards are like so expensive now.
All the Granblue cards?
Well, the 8 main cards, like the 4 Lord of the Seven Seas, Night Mist, and the 4 Loved by the Seven Seas, Night Mist. The Lord of the Seven Seas, before this deck like started to get hyped, was only like a $4 to $5 card, and the Stride Loved by the Seven Seas was only like a $2 to $3 Stride. Now the grade 3 is like 27 to 30, and the Stride is like 17 to 20.
Yeah, too much to pay for a Granblue, in my opinion.
Well, Will, I can now see why you don't like to play Granblue. It's because you were cursed by pirates as a child.
It all makes sense.
Yeah, well, Jack and we almost played on Friday night, but I took 2 hours to walk my dog. So the minute I walked in the door, he turned around and left to go bowling.
Yeah, bowling is fun.
And Cole, you didn't get a chance to play? Because it was
Not
your girlfriend's birthday.
Girlfriend's birthday and our 4-year anniversary, so kind of had to pull my weight.
And I can't even get a date in this place. That's so sad. I did get to play some with Joe because we went out and played Dice Masters and Vanguard. It's coming a little Saturday tradition. So that was fine. He was trying to play Pale Moons, and it didn't work out too well for him. But oh well. I've been buying Vanguard and Deleters packs because I'm starting to get really into Deleters. Just because I have to be the opposite of what's popular. And if Granblue is going to be popular, then Deleters are like the perfect solution to Granblue. Because one of their main mechanics is to permanently, it's called Vanish Delete. And basically what you do is your opponent has to pick one card from their drop zone and turn it upside down outside of the game, and it can no longer be played in the game.
Whoa.
So anytime anybody's playing Granblues, I'm going to be playing Vanish Delete. But it's not Link Joker Day.
No, it's not today. Today is Granblue Day. Will, you might want to cover your ears for this one, just in case you get scared by the pirates.
No, I'm going to talk about the pirates. I'm old enough. I've conquered my fears. So Granblue are the kind of like scary ghost pirates of Mega. Now I learned the pronunciation when I was watching Vanguard G last night. It's Megalanika. It's not Megalanica as I originally thought, but Megalanika. And so they're made up of mostly ghosts and different ghost types, but there are also skeletons and Frankensteins and other undead creatures.
Vampires, demons.
Do they have a lot of those? I know that they have a lot of those in like Dark Irregulars and stuff, but I don't know if they have vampires Granblue.
Most of the ones that I have are mostly vampires.
Oh, all right, cool.
Yeah.
The trial deck is called Vampire Princess of the Nether Hour, so I assume that's
there you go.
That's
the
true.
night.
That's true.
The Night Rose clan is the introduction, I think, of vampires. Really, like I don't know if there were too many vampires in the clan before that.
All right. So Granblues were introduced in the cartoon when the original, what were they, Quadrifolio team, Q4, played in the regional competition, and it was the first time they came against Team Handsome. And
yes,
Team Handsome were playing mostly Granblues, except for the one little girl who was Kamui's girlfriend, who was playing Nova Grapplers. Just
to impress Kamui, and we got Kamui character development finally.
Finally, because everybody needed that little boy to have some character development. And the Daimonji is the head of the Team Handsome, and strangely enough, as I was watching Vanguard G Gears Crisis last night, he came back. He's in one of the early episodes of that series. Yeah, because they have in Vanguard G, each of the nations has a section of town that they kind of control, and Megalanika was hosting an event, so he was one of the spokespeople leading the event.
He was the announcer or whatever when they played all the Aquaforce players, correct?
Yeah, exactly. When the Aquaforce team came in, but tonight's not Aquaforce night. Tonight's Granblue
that's the other.
Night. So Jack, what can you tell us? What's the overall like mechanic and gameplay of the Granblues?
A lot of the Granblue cards have to deal with the drop zone, and a lot of the time they either spend counterblasts or like spend other skills to like get through their deck and mill it super quickly so that they can have like the toolbox in their drop zone already, so they can call whatever they want. And it just has to do a lot with, it's like a really toolboxy deck, but when you say toolbox in a card game, a lot of the time you think of just searching through your deck and like getting combo pieces from your deck. With this deck, you mill almost your entire deck, and then you dig them out of the drop zone and play them from your drop zone.
You shouldn't use words like mill for our novice TCG players. And actually, we're going to talk more about the drop zone later, but for most other card games, what we call the drop zone is what other people call the discard pile. So when you are taking a card out of play, it goes into the drop zone. So what is milling?
Milling is when you, usually to pay the cost of a card to use its effect, milling means you just take the top card of your deck and place it into your discard pile or your drop zone or whatever. So like if a card says mill 3, counterblast 1, you counterblast 1 and then put the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone.
Oh, so milling or mill is an actual activity word in Vanguard. I haven't come across that before.
Yeah, I believe
we will tonight.
I don't know if it actually says mill.
Yeah, on Vampire Princess, it actually says. Actually, no, it says put top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone.
Oh, just kidding.
Yeah. But generally, milling means burn through your deck quickly.
Exactly.
To get the things into the places where you want them to be. So Granblue, you want to get your cards into the drop zone because other cards call them out of the drop zone, and when they're called out of the drop zone, they gain special powers. Something like that?
Yep. Especially with their new ability called Hollow that was introduced with this set, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the subclans that have already been introduced in Granblue. So there's 3 basically, right? 7 Seas. What are the other 2?
Night Rose is the new one that came out with the trial deck and the set, and then Cacaitis. I don't know if it really counts as a subclan. There's just like 3 kind of card. It's every time a unit gets support in a fighter's collection, I'd kind of consider it a subclan because it's able to play in a stride-based meta, and that's what happened.
I think it's a subclan is when another card requires that a card have that name for it to have an effect.
Under that, under those terms, Cacaitis would be considered a subclan.
All right. So, are there any special powers that these subclans do that or differentiate them from the other Granblues?
Well, 7 Seas, which is like one of the top decks, it's topping everywhere in Japan right now. It's one of the top decks here. It's just it's a really fast-paced deck. It's a really toolboxy deck, and it's like really good at calling units for a cheap cost. Like you can do whatever you want when you want, pretty much, because the starter really alleviates the cost of a lot of your like heavy costed cards. Like your secondary grade 3 in the deck, it's called 7 Seas Sage Pledgeton, and basically what it does is from your drop zone at the beginning of your ride phase, you can counterblast 2, and then if you have a grade 2 or greater Vanguard with 7 Seas in its card name, you can ride him from your drop zone. So basically you get to break ride without losing hand advantage, which is really cool. When you break ride with Lord of the 7 Seas Night Mist, you, of course, with the general break ride ability, you get plus 10,000 power. Then you call 2 units from your drop zone and call them to rear guard, and they get plus 5,000 power. So then when you break ride on top of him, you get to call 2 units for free. There's no cost to that, besides the counterblast 2 from superior riding. And then when you stride with Loved by the 7 Seas Night Mist, you get to call an additional 2 units for a counterblast. So basically, for a counterblast 1, you get to call 4 units, which is like a really...
Fill up your rear guards.
Exactly. You get to call a full field pretty much for 1 counterblast. Well, it's counterblast 2, but the cost of the superior ride is really mitigated by the starter's effect of unflipping 2.
Oh, okay. So the starter unflips flipped damage.
Yeah.
Cool. That's always a nice skill to have.
It's a really good, because I believe it's every time he's called from the drop zone, he unflips 2 damage.
All right, that's cool. You can't call something from the drop zone if I've deleted it, though. All right, so let's talk about Hollow. Cole, how would you describe the Hollow? So keywords are something that's kind of new in Vanguard, and the Granblues are getting that keyword of Hollow.
Yeah. So it's an optional effect, and what happens is when you call a card that has Hollow to the rear guard, you can choose to activate it, and if you do, it becomes hollowed, and then usually its second effect has a ability that boosts itself when it is hollow. Like, see, I've got a great example. So there's this grade 2 called Witch Doctor of the Rotten Sea, Negaruk, and he has a hollow ability. And then his auto ability is GB1, and when this unit attacks, it gains plus 2,000 until the end of the turn. That's when it's on the rear guard. And if this unit was hollowed, it gets an extra 5,000 until the end of the battle. And then at the end of the turn, those cards that were hollowed are sent to your graveyard, to the drop zone.
What game are you playing?
Graveyard just fit for this.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of does fit, but it's still your drop zone. Let's not
nice
confuse the kids out here.
Yeah. Oops.
So hollow is something that you choose to impose on the card.
Yes, but you have to choose it when you call it.
Okay, and there are other cards out there that allow you to seek out hollows. That seek out cards that have the keyword hollow, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I remember reading it. I just can't think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I've seen that in the Pale Moons that have the Magia. Which is the same thing. It's a keyword. And the Gold Paladins have. Is it Brave?
No, Gold Paladins are Unite, which doesn't come out till later this month, and then Royal Paladins are Brave.
Nah, Royal Paladins, Gold Paladins are all the same thing.
Discrimination.
So, Cole, you've bought 1 copy, 2 copies of the trial deck?
I bought 2.
You did get 2, so you got a complete set of trial deckness.
Did you get any of those stamped Night Roses?
No.
Oh.
I know.
Poor Cole.
I would have loved that.
So
yeah, no, I like it.
What's in the trial deck? Why should people buy the trial deck or 2 of it?
So if you're a fan of card art like me, this is a great set because I like the neon colors that they implement to kind of show the eeriness of it. And then also Night Rose, the main character of the deck, has a pretty sweet ability, as does the starter featured in this one. I don't know if it's a new starter or not. It's Undying Departed Grenache. I assume it's probably Grenache, yeah. And
that's
yeah,
that's the Unflip 2 one, right?
Yep, that is the Unflip 2.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Only when he's hollow, which I'm still confused. I don't know if when you ride him, and because he has a 4 vulnerability, which means that when he's ridden, he can move to the rear guard in any of the open circles. So I don't know if that means that when he's played, he's moved, it does not.
No, it doesn't. It's okay. So a really cool combo that some people like to do is when you're on grade 2, when you ride to grade 2, you can call a Dancing Cutlass. So basically how you start this combo is when you ride your grade 1 over your starter, you don't want to use the Forerunner abilities, so you leave it in the soul. Then when you ride to your grade 2, you call a Dancing Cutlass, it's a Dancing Cutlass, which is another Granblue card, and it's a Soul Blast 2. When this unit is placed on rear guard, if you have a Granblue Vanguard, you can pay the cost if you do draw a card. So you Soul Blast your starter and you Soul Blast your grade 1 and draw a card. So you get your starter in the drop zone, which is something you really want to do, and you get to draw a card.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense, because here I was trying to figure out how to retire it.
Yeah,
so then you can get the hollow ability.
So you can use that ability. You can use that combo, which is a really cool combo, I think. Or you can just call another unit over it.
He does his for Grenache's ability. He has to be hollow, so that way he can counterflip. Is it counterflip?
Yes. Yeah, it's countercharge. So yeah.
Countercharge.
So how hollowed works is when you call the unit to your rearguard circle, either from your hand or the drop zone, you activate hollowed. And for that turn, they get the ability, and then in order to pay for the cost of having them have the hollowed ability, you retire them at the end of the turn, which isn't a huge deal for Granblue because you just call them again. And so there is I don't remember the combo off the top of my head, but there is a way to use your starter more than once a turn, and you can like unflip 4 damage in one turn, which is like on the
I
levels
remember.
of Angel Feather unflipping. Do you want to explain that combo? Because it's really
Yeah, it involves the main card Vampire Princess of the Night Fog, Night Rose. That is a name. Oh, okay. So when she's on the Vanguard and you have GB2, you can put the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone, and when your rear guard is put into the drop zone, you mill the 3, and then you may call it to the rear guard. So when he's put with Hollow ability, you can mill 3, and then you get to call it again. And so it's the end of the turn. So he's then sent to the drop zone because of his Hollow ability, and then so there he can counterblast or countercharge 4.
dang, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was reading Grenache, and it's anytime he's placed on the rear guard circle, it's just his counter charge ability only occurs if you have GB1 in place. So there's no use in having him as Forerunner. Although you can hollow him as Forerunner and then put him in the drop zone after because
you
he is
can't.
hollow.
But you're not calling him to the Guardian Circle. It's just you're moving him back, so it doesn't activate off of.
I would recommend reading the card, sir, because it specifically says for the. Oh, I clicked on the wrong card deck. Now that for the Forerunner ability, it says when a unit of the same clan rides this unit, you may call this unit to rear guard circle. So
Ooh, it does.
That's a call. And the hollow ability says when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you may have it become hollowed. If you do, retire it at the end of the turn. So to me, that means Forerunner straight to the drop zone at the end of the turn.
I believe that it was ruled that you can't do that when you call it as Forerunner, but I'm not positive on that.
All right, Will's errata for next week. We'll look up the rulings on Grenache. All right, what other things can you say about the trial deck, Cole?
Oh, let's see. This is interesting to me because in my Gold Paladin deck, well, I know there are Gold Paladins that have the ability, the grade 2s. So when they intercept, they gain an extra 5,000. But there's a card in this trial deck, Dragon Corrode Cemetery Dragon. And it is when it intercepts, it gains an extra 10,000 shield until the end of the battle. So I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah, that was also in the Messiah's trial deck. So I think that they're moving into that.
Yeah, it was. There was also one in the Dragonic Overlord Legend deck that did that too.
Yeah. So there's also Pirate Swordsman Columbard, and when this unit attacks. When this unit attacks a Vanguard and it is boosted, you pay the cost and it is just counter blast, yeah. Then you choose one card in your drop zone and call it to the rear guard. So that was a pretty sweet card.
Another one I want to mention is Witch Doctor of the Rotten Sea Negro Rook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got it right in front of me. I could read it for you.
Okay. Well, hollowed. When this unit's placed on the rear guard, you can have it become hollowed. If you do, retire it at the end of this turn. Generation Break 1. When this unit attacks, it gets plus 2,000 until the end of the turn, until the end of the battle. And then if this unit is hollowed, it gets another plus 5,000 until the end of the battle.
Mm-hmm. There's another one that has that same ability, but it's a grade 1, and it's Skeleton Underling Pirate.
Yeah. So that's So what power level is the Underling Pirate? Is it 7K?
7. Yep, it's 7.
Yeah. So it's does he get the 2K in addition to the 5K, or is it just either or?
And if this unit is hollowed, it gets 5,000, so it becomes a 14.
Yes. So the grade 1 becomes a 14, and then the grade 2 becomes a 16K, which is really good.
That's way too much.
Power columns.
Yeah, and then there's also another one. I don't have it in front of me, but it's in the deck, and it is when it's okay. Here it is. It's Lord Shadow Sultana, and when it boosts a Vanguard, the boosted unit gets an extra 4,000. That's actually kind of nice too.
Yeah. Just really grade 2 attackers are just a lot better, I think, than having it grade 1 because, well, I guess the grade 2 game really wouldn't matter here because it's Generation Break 1. But just grade 2 attackers are generally better because it's Generation Break 1 and you want to be on grade 2 attackers because they can intercept. You don't really want to have grade 1s in the front row when you have to be ready to intercept attacks.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be afraid of keeping some grade 2s in the front row. Even after you've ridden up to grade 3.
Yeah.
Especially the Dragon Corrode Cemetery Dragon. That's nice. Because it can be a target for them because it can intercept and be a pretty heavy shield.
I just want to give a quick mention to Kakaitis. Shout out to Kakaitis because that art on like those 3 cards, negative Kakaitis reverse, and the regular Kakaitis, that art is amazing. Like that art looks fantastic, and it really makes me want to build the deck just for the artwork of those cards right there.
Well, if we want to talk about awesome art, you should look up Undead Knight of the Corrupting Sword. It is so pretty.
It's so pretty.
Cocytus. I know. It just is like, is it Cocytus or Cocytus?
It's Kakaitis, I believe,
yeah,
but I'm not
probably right.
positive. I'm right on most things when it comes to Vanguard. Well, let's face it.
Oh, please. He was the Granblue's first limit break.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's also like he was the unit that was reversed during like the Link Joker era, and they got a stride for the deck in the first Fighters collection, in the first English Fighters collection, or the first G era Fighters collection.
All right. So who were you gonna say has really cool art, Cole?
Oh, Undead Knight of the Corrupting Sword. Doesn't even look like a Granblue card.
And I do recommend that people look up these cards on the Cardfight wiki. The Cardfight wiki is really extensive.
Yeah.
So
No, let's just explain the art in detail and hope they have good visual imaginations.
Undead Knight of the Corrupting Sword is completely vanilla grade 2. Throw it in the garbage. But it's got a really cool red knight thing. It's a ghost.
Yeah, it is a ghost. He's got purple and red and blue, and he just looks so pretty.
Oh, that is pretty artwork.
He's
Doesn't got
like
anything on
an
Kakaitis,
underwater
though.
knight.
Yeah, he definitely with the flow of the sash or whatever.
Got nothing on my Kakaitis, though.
We also didn't talk about the stride that comes in the trial deck, which actually
is that a good one?
It's decent, and especially with the hollow ability.
I don't think we mentioned the Nitro Stride either.
Oh yeah, I've got that one right here too. Okay, so the Pirate King of Secret Schemes, Bandit Rum, and it has a stride ability. Should I read that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it just where it says?
Yeah.
Discard it. No, you don't have to read that.
Okay. So when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, choose up to 1 card from your drop zone and call it to the rear guard, and it gains plus 2,000. Which I'd also like to point out that card in the child deck is the only one that has an on-hit ability. All the other ones are when this unit attacks. It's not necessarily that it has to hit.
Yeah, I hate those because people always perfect guard, and then I just wasted all my time.
That's why they're generally not good to be played over like strides that are GB2. You win the game is a lot better than
True.
When it says on hit, it automatically, like, unless it's a broken effect, like the Perditian Stride in the Kai Legend deck is like a really good effect. It's like retire 3 for free when this hits. You generally don't want to play that, especially like with the new changes coming to the game. Their use as first strides is not really like existent anymore.
True. Yeah, but it does.
Although you do have 16 card G zones, so I guess you could play it just because you can, because you have the space for it.
Yeah, put it in there if you want. If you know that they've used all their perfect guards, why not? So who's the main grade 3? Vampire Princess of Nightfog, Night Rose?
Yes. Yes, she is. And then there's also another one. It's decent, but actually it's more than decent. It just costs more than Night Rose. So it's GB1 and has to be on the Vanguard. Counterblast 2. Choose up to 1 card from your drop zone and call it to the rear guard, and that unit gets plus 2,000 until the end of the turn. Then it has an auto ability. When it attacks a Vanguard, this unit gains plus 2,000 until the end of the turn.
And which card is that one?
Oh, that was Undead Knight of the Cursing Spear. He's on a fire pony.
An underwater fire pony. Yeah. That's kind of odd.
It's a spirit fire pony. It's more expensive. Whereas it costs 2 counterblast, when Night Rose can do it basically for 1, and if it's Stridden.
Yeah, it also requires GB1. Night Rose requires
2. That's for her first auto ability, though. For her second one,
yeah, it doesn't require GB1, but she has to counterblast 1, and she has to be strided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
Everything's got its cost.
Very true. Very true.
But every deck has its merits. We're not losing any. Yes.
I think you're just still scared of this deck.
Would you stop? Pirates. I'm not scared of vampire pirates and ghost chappies and etceteras. Oh man. Is there anything else to say about the trial deck?
No. I mean, I like it. It's very pretty.
I think so. It's very cool to see a deck that was seen as one of the worst clans in the game become one of the best clans in the game because of like a couple of new cards. It's very cool because the deck was always very close to being good. Like just burning through your deck and calling units from your deck is just a very good effect, no matter what card game you're in, really. But the clan was always just missing a few things to make it good, because since it's a powerful effect, as seen in like Yu-Gi-Oh with Light Swords and how powerful they were. Oh, yeah. I think Bushiroad was just always afraid to give them the tools they needed to make it a good deck, and now that they have, it's a really good deck.
Well, I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh, and I don't want to know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh. So,
do you know Night March? Will it's like that where they milled through their entire deck and call? Yeah.
Yes.
It's for Pokemon.
I'm not interested in Pokemon TCG anymore either.
Okay. Well, let's see. I tried.
All right. So our term of the week is the drop zone, which we've already described as the discard. So what else can we say about the drop zone? It's very popular for Granblues. Is there any other clans that tend to work out of the drop zone frequently?
I don't know necessarily about working out of the drop zone, but Kagero and Narukami both, and some other clans have like cards but they spend a lot of time retiring units to the drop zone from their opponent. So it's kind of like the opposite. Instead of calling units from your drop zone, you're sending your opponent's units to the drop zone.
All right, and deleters specifically do that vanish delete mechanic.
Enough about deleters, Will.
I love the deleters. I'm going to start playing deleters because they're cheaper than Messiahs, and they're just as much fun to play, although a little trickier. And also, the deleters have the alternate win conditions as well, so that's always fun.
Yeah, that is pretty fun.
Because they have one of their win conditions is if you have vanished deleted 13 cards from your opponent's drop zone, you win.
Easy peasy.
So yeah, so the drop zone is it is a discard pile, but it's also used extensively by different clans and referenced a lot throughout Vanguard. So it's something to keep aware of what you put in there. Also, the drop zone is considered to be a not a hidden zone, but a public zone. So if your opponent wants to look at the cards that are in your drop zone, they can ask to do that. It is not hidden information. That's what cards are in your drop zone. All right. Any other definitions of the drop zone?
We should probably mention Legion. Considering
Legion, hooray! my favorite mechanic.
Do legions live in the drop zone?
Well, the way Legion works is you shuffle 4 cards back from your drop zone into your deck in order to pay the cost to Legion. So pretty much what you do is you put 4 triggers back so you can have 4 more triggers to use in the game. So you essentially have 20 triggers.
Because I completely skipped Legioning, even though I pulled some lovely Legion cards that you both poo-pooed a couple of days ago. You laughed at
It's not that it's bad.
It's just that
art
I've
is
ever
atrocious.
Pulled. It's not
art
atrocious.
Is atrocious.
Whatever. So I did not know what the cost for Legioning is. I thought it was like discarding up to 3 or whatever, like you do for striding.
No. Legions, before, it was the only way to get cards back into or really the easiest way for all clans to get cards back into their decks from the discard pile.
And also, one thing about the drop zone to pay attention to is that there are times when you have to pay the cost by retiring things or discarding things from your hand. That is your opportunity to put things into the drop zone that other cards may reference needing them in the drop zone for them to be successful. One example is I know that the Link Joker special Perfect Guard requires this. I don't know if other ones do, but you have to have a copy of her in the drop zone in order to be able to use her countercharge ability when you Perfect Guard her a second time.
Yeah, that's all. I think all G Perfect Guards that unflip damage require you to have a copy of them in the drop zone.
All right, so she does not have to have been put there by Perfect Guarding. So if you have an opportunity to just move her from your hand,
just discard that. Yeah.
All right. Anything else to say about the drop zone?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, then I will end this week by saying thank you to our executive producer, SBJ. Thanks to Nick Burgess for the intro and outro music. And if you want to reach me, the easiest way to do that is on Twitter with my handle, which is Wash in the Sink.
I'm at Cole McCune, COLE_McCune, MCCUNE.
And I am at Drive_Jack.
And thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Drive Check Podcast. Peace out or grease out.